Puree lovers, welcome to Joyce's Kitchen. I'm back with another great recipe. This time I'm going to be pressure canning collard greens and ham hocks. Stay tuned. Okay guys, let's begin. Very simple recipe, not that many ingredients at all. As you can see, I have my greens here. Now normally when I go to the grocery store, I actually buy the bundles of greens. They come in packs. And I did not buy these greens from the store, so they're not bundles. So I have no way of telling you how much to buy at the grocery store, except for one thing that I did do. All of these greens came from my garden. What you want to do is pick your greens. Now, this jar right here, I filled so that you guys could know exactly how much I use. This bowl with this jar contains 10 quarts of freshly picked and washed greens. And you don't pack it tightly. You just fill it up to the top, just like I did here. And that equals 10 quarts. But that is, again, after you wash the greens, de-stem them. They've already got the stems taken out. Chop them up. And that's what I ended up with. 10 quarts of greens. Next thing we have here is our onions. Now, I never make collard greens without my onions. It just gives it the best flavor ever. This is 2 large yellow onions. And right here we have a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. You say, well, won't that make it too spicy? No, it's unbelievable with this size or amount of greens. Also, I have here in this bowl 3 teaspoons of salt. Now also here, I used ham flavor. There to get a picture of that. Okay, this ham flavor is delicious. It seasons right along with the ham hocks. And what I did was, while I was boiling the water with the ham hocks in it, I added 3 teaspoons of this ham flavor. And in this pot right here is 3 large ham hocks, as you can see that. And I cooked these ham hocks, because you have to cook your ham hocks before you put your greens in there, so you can get your ham hocks nice and tender, because it takes quite a while to cook your ham hocks. Now, I have 3 large ham hocks, as I said, and you have to let these 3 large ham hocks cook on not high, maybe about just below a medium, so that it can tenderize your ham hocks. And this broth that you see in here, this broth came off the ham hocks. I filled this pot all the way up to the top, or about right there, not quite to the top, because once it starts to boil, you don't want it to boil out. But I filled it up there with water, just plain water, and let that cook for 3 whole hours. And I mean, it was actually 3 whole hours. But the ham hocks, as I said, is nice and tender now. And that's where you want it to get before you add your greens in. You don't have to have them falling apart. As you see, these aren't falling apart, but almost tender, because what I'm going to do is add my greens into the same pot. And I'm only going to let these greens cook for about 15 minutes, just whatever time it takes to wilt them down some, because then we're going to put them into the pressure canner, into the jars, and that will do the rest of the cooking. So I'm going to add these greens into here, into our ham hocks and water. And if it doesn't take all of the greens, then I'll let them cook down a little bit. I'm going to turn the stove on so I can begin the process. Put it on about medium so it can get started. And add a few more greens in there. And then put some onions on top of that. And then add in more greens on top of that. And push that down some so we can add some more in there. I think I'm going to turn that up just a hair so I can get the water started to boil. And then we're going to put more onions on top. And on top of that one, we want to add in the crushed peppers and the salt. Okay. And then we're going to add in some more greens. I'm hoping I can get all of this in. Looks like I will be able to the first time around without having to cook it down at all. I'll put that in there. Okay, we're going to add some more onions. And my hands are clean, guys, so make sure that your hands are clean. And then we go and add more greens on top of that. Now, one of the things you want to remember, it's what I do with my greens, is always remember to wash them and then rinse them really well and then break them up into pieces. And I just use my hand to break them up. I don't use a knife or anything to chop them up. And there you have it. We're going to make sure we add in this last jar, which makes 10 quarts. And believe it or not, this pot of greens is just enough for one holiday meal. And there won't be anything left because my family loves ham hocks and collard greens. So we're just going to push those down in there. We're going to bring this to a boil and then reduce the heat. Let it come to a boil and reduce the heat to just above a simmer. You don't want it boiling. Bring it to a boil and then reduce the heat to just above a simmer. And then we'll let it cook down for about 15 minutes, just long enough to get them wilted, and then we will put them in the jars. Now, one other thing I want to add here, just in case we don't have enough water to go into the jars, maybe not, we'll see. But just in case we don't, you can get a quart of beef broth. You can actually have turkey broth, whatever you want to use to season your greens with if you don't have enough water. My green water, the water that's sitting in, is very seasoned. But I have here some homemade turkey broth. I make the bone broth or the turkey broth. So it could be bone broth also. Larry said it tastes like turkey broth. I said it tastes like bone broth. But either one is perfectly fine. And this is just in case I don't have enough water to go into my jars when I cook the greens. So we're going to put that back over there. And we're going to put the lid on it to help it come to a faster boil. And give it about 3 or 4 minutes. And then we'll be back and I'll show you what to do from there. Okay, guys. As you can see, the greens have cooked for the 15 minutes. They've cooked down some, but another reason why they've cooked down is what I'm about to show you right now. I took the ham hocks out. I told you that there were 3 large ham hocks, and I let this ham hock cool. But I want to show you the next step. As you can see, the ham hock is on top of that. That's the other 2 ham hocks I've already mixed in there. But this is all you do, quite simple, for the ham hock. I've already cooled this down, otherwise there's no way I'd be able to touch it. So yeah, you want to pull this out. And that's just the bone. Take that bone out and you have pieces of meat. Look at that. This is the meat that's going back into your greens. Now you want to pull off this skin. Take that out, remove that also. And then what you're going to have here is little pieces of meat. And a little bit of fat, but the fat is what seasons it. So you want to break that up. And that's a little too much. We're going to take that off. But you got a lot of meat right here. So you want to take this meat, add it into your greens. Stir that up so you can get it mixed throughout the greens. And of course, our next step is to put this into our jars. Now, one other thing real quick before we start putting them into the jars. I want you to remember to sterilize your jars. Make sure you sterilize them. Get them nice and hot, very hot. And also over here I have the lids and the rings right here. They're warming. Do not let them come to a boil. You don't want to ruin the rubber in there or anything. Just let them get nice and hot. No simmer, no boil. And then we're going to put them into the jars. So I'll be right back. Okay guys, I've got my jars. They're sterilized, they're nice and clean, and they're ready to go. And I've got my lids over here. And they're warming. And what we're going to do, this is the ladle that I'm going to use for the broth only. And this one right here is the one that I'm going to use in the ham hock in the jars. And what you want to do, you do not want to pack them in there. You just want to fill them to the top. Try to distribute your meat evenly. And I think that this pot will probably do about 5 quarts, 4 or 5 quarts. I'm not sure, but we're going to find out. Okay. And I'm using wide mouth and then the regular size jars. It's just what I have left in my stock. Okay. Oops. Okay, now that one's got plenty enough in there. Let me get all the greens out of this part. Okay, now we want to fill the broth just to about 1 inch before you get to the top, the very top. I'm gonna fill that up. And these greens, oh, the smell is unbelievable. I love greens. I love the stock that the ham hocks make for the greens. It is so delicious and very well seasoned. Okay, we're gonna stop right there. And I have over here is my vinegar and my paper towel. And I'm going to make sure I clean the tops of the jars and then dry it. And kind of make sure that there's no air bubbles or anything in here. So that's good right there. I'm going to take my little magnet stick here. Take that out. Put that on the jar. And we already have one in the pot. I'm going to place that one right beside it. Okay, I'm going to do another one so you can see how it's done. Move that over. I'm going to fill this. I'll try not to spill any this time, guys. Just got to take it slow. I want to get a little bit more meat in there. I'm going to mix that up a little bit. I think I've got quite a bit of meat on the bottom. So as you're filling your jars, just kind of stir that pot around a little bit to make sure you get all of your ham hocks actually mixed in there evenly. Okay, now we're going to put some broth in there and fill it to, just like the other one, 1 inch from the top. Oh, again, that smells so good. And then we're actually going to put this in our pressure canner for 75 minutes. And after 75 minutes, it will be ready to take out. Yeah, just a hair more broth. Okay. We'll take that out. Make sure we have no, just on the outside, it's easier. Make sure there's no air bubbles in there. Oh, let's clean the lid, the top of the jar, and dry that off. And take my magnet here, and my ring and my lid, place that on top. Sometimes they don't go on straight, so we want that on straight. Finger tighten. Remember, guys, you just finger tighten. You don't want that too tight. Okay, we're going to do one more jar, and then I'm going to finish the rest off camera. So we just want to fill the jar with greens, and that's about what it's going to take, guys. I got just enough here for 5 quarts. Along with the ham hock in it. Make sure I get a little more. Need to put in there. That ham hock seasons it so well. And maybe just a hair more. right. Nah, that could take a little more. You can see it on the side there. Okay, now let's put the broth. Seal that about an inch from the top. Looks like one more scoop. Okay, that'll do it for that jar. Get our vinegar, clean the top well, and then we want to take our ring and our lid out, put that on. Remember, finger tight. You don't want it too tight, just finger tight. And then add that in there. And I'm going to finish the rest off camera, and then I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, guys, it's one other thing I want to let you know. I've got the pressure canner going. I've got the lid on. It's sealed. Now what we're going to do, it takes about 10 minutes, minus 10 pounds of pressure. It takes about 10 minutes. And when the steam starts to come out of here, this right here, this valve, this pressure valve here, and this valve, which is the pressure valve, both of these will come up, and it takes about 10 minutes. And when it does, you'll see the steam come out of here, and then I will place this weight, it's a 10-pound weight, on top of the pot, and it'll start going like that. This is my bubbler. It'll start rattling, and when it does, drop your heat to about, I'll drop down to 1 degrees, which will be 9 on my stove. And then I'll let it cook for 75 minutes, as I said. But you don't set your timer for 75 minutes until both these valves have lifted and your bubbler is actually rattling. And that's going to take about 10 minutes. But I just wanted to let you know that. Now, if you would like to see how to use a pressure canner, I'll leave a video above so you can go and check that out, so you'll know exactly how to use the pressure canner. But yeah, that's in a nutshell. Just let that come to a rattle. Takes about 10 minutes to get to the proper pressure, and then you're ready to set your timer. See you at the end of the video. Okay guys, this is the finished product. I wanted you to see how the texture turned out. You can see the ham hocks in there cooked. You can see the onions. But this is the main thing. This is the texture of what they look like. So this is what you're aiming for. Nice and tender. And they are delicious. I've already eaten some of them, but yeah, this is what I wanted to show you, the texture of the greens. So you could see that I opened up a jar, and that's actually what we're having for dinner today, is some collard greens. And also, if you guys like this video, like and subscribe. Don't forget, if you'd like to see a video of how you make the greens in the pressure canner, if you actually like to see a video shows how to use a pressure canner, which is so simple. I was very intimidated when I first thought about canning. It is really a simple process, and after you do it a couple of times, it's even, a lot easier. So if you would be interested in that, take a look above. You will see a video, and don't forget, if you like this video, like and subscribe. See you in the next video, guys.